What's going on, family? I'm Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. I want to continue to examine 100 years of World Championship fights. May 21st, 1943, Philadelphia's Beau Montgomery would take the World Lightweight Championship crown away from Augusta, Georgia's Beau. It was in front of a fighting crowd of 15,000 spectators. And the fight went 15 rounds. Philadelphia. And it wouldn't be the first time these two men would meet. And as you can see here, $35 million of war bonds was earned between these two men. And they would receive not one dime. But Bojack, as you can see here, exhilarating a bolo punch under the heart of Beau Montgomery. Bojack's to your left and Beau Montgomery's to your right. Two great lightweight champions that would mix it up several times. But on the night of May 21st, 1943, Beau Montgomery would get the best of Bojack. June 8, 1943, Jimmy Bivins knocks out Lloyd Marshall 13 rounds at the Cleveland, Ohio Stadium in front of 18,448 spectators. Together they invested $61,195. Between rounds 1 and 6 was split between Lloyd Marshall and Jimmy Bivins. Marshall was dropped in the 9th round and the 12th round from hooks and uppercuts. Jimmy Bivins would go on and defeat Lloyd Marshall 13 rounds. August 27th, 1943. Ray Robinson outclasses Henry Armstrong in New York's Madison Square Garden. Now the crowd would boo because Henry Armstrong, although he would lose to Ray Robinson, but it would be at the Madison Square Garden where he would become the first black featherweight champion of America when he defeated Petey Cerrone. And he would give the Garden thrills. And he was earned 3 world titles simultaneously by defeating Lou Ambrose. Now Henry Armstrong is to your right, and Ray Robinson is to the left. It was a passing of the torch, as it would be for Joe Louis and Ezard Charles in New York Yankee Stadium. Looking at two of the greatest fighters in boxing history, I have Henry Armstrong ranked number 4 and Ray Robinson ranked number 3. They're the greatest fighters of all times. This fight would take place August 27th, 1943. Now, one of the saddest fights for me in boxing history was when Ray Robinson defeated Henry Armstrong. As you can see here, Ray washes up Hank. 15,371 spectators at the Garden. August 27th, 1943. Lights went out on a brilliant career of Henry Armstrong, who was the only 3 world titles simultaneously. He won the world title 3 times. And he held them all simultaneously. And it was the second time that Henry Armstrong would announce his retirement. And this was, shortly after this fight, Corporate Ray Robinson in his illustrious career. 10 rounds. The featured bout at the Garden last night. Many of the 15,371 patrons who contributed $60,789, they witnessed a travesty. And they booed. And the reason why they booed is because Henry Armstrong had won his title in the featherweight division in 1937 of October against Petey Cerrone. He would be the first black featherweight champion of America in order to do so. And this was during a time when black fighters really didn't get a break. And, Joe Louis had won his crown in 1937 in Comiskey Park in Chicago by defeating a fighter by the name of the Cinderella Man, Jimmy Braddock. So this was great information and great news for those who were really depressed at that time. And to see this happen, with Henry Armstrong, of course they wanted Ray Robinson to succeed because it was the passing of the torch, as it would be for Joe Louis and Ezra Charles in 1950 at the New York Yankee Stadium. But it was just a hard thing to witness. So Joe Louis, was at ringside. He was sad as well. But Henry Armstrong would lose to Ray Robinson on the night of August 27th, 1943. Now, Bob Montgomery defeats Fitzy Zivic in front of 22,500 fight fans. And it was actually amazing. You had Brown, Smith, Fontaine, and Walker. They stopped their rivals as well on the undercard. The crowd paid $60,924 for this fight. As you can see here, Bob Montgomery. He was a world lightweight champion. Now remember, he defeated Bojack for that title. He beats up Fitzy Zivic, formerly the boss of that division. And it was before 22,500 fight fans. They paid $60,924 last night at the Shrine Park Lawn. That's in Philadelphia. And it was a great fight, and it would definitely make for a great showing for the rematch of Bojack and Bob Montgomery. And I have Bob Montgomery, one of the greatest lightweight champions of all time. I met him, very pleasant individual. Told me a lot of stories, taught me some tricks on a heavy bag while I was at the gym there. But it was something else. Tremendous humanitarian was Bob Montgomery. And he defeats Fitzy Zivic. Now, November 1943, Bojack dethrones Bob Montgomery, and he would reclaim what was rightfully his, the World Lightweight Championship belt. And this was some fight in New York's Madison Square Garden. Now, the last time these two men would fight, they would earn $35 million. This time, they would beat their own record of $35,864,900. And once again, one of these men would get a paycheck. This was during the war. I'll share a story with you about Bojack. Bojack was something else, man. He just had something about him. I met Bojack several times, and he told me all kinds of stories about his career. There's a documentary that would explain how Bojack actually became the kind of man he was. He was a shoeshine boy when he was a young man.
I had a grandmother that lived a very long life, 112 years. That's a long time. And I come home one day and I was crying. And she asked me what I was crying for. And I told her, I said, the boy is taking my money. I was trying to shoot at the time. And she said, you mean to tell me you crying? I cried, yeah. She told me to pull my clothes off. I went there, she gave me the worst whooping of my life. Told me no walker, run for no one. And if you ever run again, they're going to have to, police going to have to come get me because I'm going to murder you. And you stand there and you fight until the blood run into your shoes, don't you run. And from that time on, that's what I done. We left.
Watch NFL.
November 19th, 1943, Bojack, as he defeats Bob Montgomery in New York's Madison Square Garden, he regains the New York State recognition of the World Lightweight Championship belt. Now, you heard of an interview of Bojack describing what it was like living with his grandmother, who was a shoeshine boy. And in that household, in fact, in that time, young boy didn't come home crying about someone stole something from him. That was unacceptable. And he had a plate of food waiting for him. His grandmother lived to be 112 years old at that time. But he would come home and he was crying. He just got out there. And everyone knew the corner that Bojack would work to earn money as he was shining shoes. The young man not from the neighborhood decided to take his money. Much bigger than Bojack. And he shoved him down. Bojack got up, ran back to his house. His grandmother had a nice plate of food waiting for him. When he walked in the house crying, his grandmother wanted to know what he was crying for. And he told her what he was crying for. And before he was going to get what he was going to get from her, she wanted to be clear on why he was crying. She asked him to repeat himself. And he said the boy took his money. And she said, "That's why you're crying?" He said, "Yes." Told him to take his shirt off. Got a belt from her closet, and she beat him half to death. And in syllables, as the sounds of the whip, the tip of the belt across his back, shoulders, and arms, she told him no walker runs from no one. It wasn't just a metaphor. But Walker was his last name. His name was Sidney Walker. He learned a lesson that day. And he would never run from another boy/man again. And he would fight back Bob Montgomery, Mike Williams, Henry Armstrong, and Tippy Larkin, Wanza Rita. What a fighter was Bojack. He would regain his crown November 19th, 1943, by defeating Bob Montgomery, New York's Madison Square Garden. Now I met Bojack, and I met Bob Montgomery. Bojack signed this photo that you're looking at for me, just like yesterday. And it reminded me of the conversations that I would have with my dad about the way life was for young men during that time. See, Bojack participated in battle royales. He'd be blindfolded. He would swing away. But he'd be trained by Henry Armstrong. Henry Armstrong taught him some moves that Bojack would carry to the championship. Multiple lightweight champion. Would knock out Tippy Larkin in 2 rounds, which ironically, Bojack was a main event at New York's Madison Square Garden 21 times. Tippy Larkin was a main event at Madison Square Garden 19 times. Amazing. January 19th, 1943. What a fight, what a night.
for just $67.